thought that just didn't make sense to me. I mean, really, would a 73-year-old woman want a man to move in with her, a guy who lives across the road? I don't think so. The library, I'm returning some books, and this is The Silver Book by Olivia Laing, and we're currently reading it for book group. I got 3/4 in. It's really boring. Yes, please don't tell my book group. We have a rule that you can't pan the book or say anything negative about the book that we're currently reading, because that will put people off and perhaps sway people's reading of the book. So I've and I really enforce that particular law, and here's me making a video out of it, so hopefully they won't see this. Hi, I'm Stella. Welcome to my channel 30 Books, where I predominantly talk about Australian books, although this time I'm not going to do it so much. I haven't had a great month for reading. A couple of the books I've just haven't finished as above, but Australian books, I read 2 Australian books, both that left me feeling a bit flat. Well, I didn't enjoy them. One, I'm not going to talk about it because they're a relatively new writer, and I don't see the point in criticising a book or giving a bad review to a book that's not getting a lot of traction. Anyway, now the other book I read was Geraldine Brooks's Memorial Days. It is a memoir, very much focus on the death of her husband quite suddenly, a few years previously, and quite young as well. So quite a shock. And it is the story about the delayed grief, how she couldn't allow herself, she was really in shock. I think we forget about you can be in shock for a number of years. And then she goes to an island off Tasmania, a place that had very significant meaning to her, alone, so she could allow herself to really fulfill the feeling of grief and go through a grieving period. This book didn't do it for me. I didn't quite understand. There was a lot of telling about what she was going to do, and given the island that she was staying on meant so much to her, didn't get a sense of place at all. Look, I definitely do need books on the grieving process. As she writes in the book, we don't have a lot of, in our particular culture, white culture, well, American and Australian culture, because I'm sure there's some European countries like Finnish countries that do have protocol around protocol and rituals around grieving. But the examples that she gives in the book, there's nothing revelatory about them. It's nothing I haven't read before, and they're very thin, very it's almost fleeting. So there's not a lot of discussion around that. She's a well-known writer, and I don't think this book would have been published if she wasn't a well-known writer. It was going to review The Correspondent anyway, and then of course last night here in Australia, so it's Friday morning here, The Correspondent by Virginia Evans has won the Women's Prize. I love this novel. I think this is just, I don't want to say it's a cozy read, but it's definitely an optimistic read. It's, I've often said that the most feminist act a book can do is have an optimistic ending for your female character or women's character there. What I particularly liked about this book, now I don't want to say, look, you've all read it anyway, so if you haven't read it, look, tune out now because I'm going to get a plot spoiler. What I particularly loved about this book is that she does go blind toward the end of the book. Now, as someone who worked in a blindness organisation for a long time, her going blind wasn't a tragedy in the book. Writing letters and means a lot to her, and she's facing that, but she still lives this amazing life. She goes off and travels and experiences the world. she is not a tragic figure, and I don't think we see enough of that around disability. We'll read out the judge's report. One of the judge's report, who's Julia Gillard, ex-Prime Minister of Australia, Australia's first and most probably last female politician. And a remarkable novel with an exemplary combination of originality, I'll give it that, excellence and accessibility. Now that was an interesting thing to write. What do we mean by accessibility? Does this mean that it's not too highfalutin and we can all read about this fantastic woman? What does that mean? So this is what makes me think it is commercial fiction, and I really like commercial fiction. I don't think there's enough good commercial fiction. Soap operas, there's a reason that soap operas are so popular with women. One, they're seeing themselves reflected back. And this is an older woman. And who reads? Older women, and women read. It is no mean feat to write a life in letters, but Evans makes us feel effortless, asking the reader to consider the choices we make whilst elevating an ordinary life in the most heartfelt of ways. The sheer skill required to render an emotionally resonant and engaging work in this format is spectacular. This is a novel that captured our hearts and should be read and savoured by all. Totally agree, totally agree. The only thing I don't agree with in this book, I didn't get the romance part of it. I thought that just didn't make sense to me. I mean, really, would a 73-year-old woman want a man to move in with her, a guy who lives across the road? I don't think so. Anyway, but that's me. Now, another book that I read, non-Australian book, is wonderful. Everyone in This Room Will Someday Be Dead by Emily Austen. Now, this book's a couple of years old, and I picked it up from the library because I just felt like, I thought, I just want to read something simple. This is not what I thought it was going to be. It is not a simple book. It's a really lot of fun. So this is the story of a gay atheist, our protagonist Gilda, which a fantastic name, by the way. She is a gay atheist and she gets a job in a Catholic church for some reason or another. And she's struggling with her own mental health issues. And within this, and then she also discovers the woman that had the job before her has died, and then things kind of skyrocket from there. Things kind of progress from there. There are a lot of different storylines in this novel, and it's written in this fantastic episodic way. Within chapters you get all the different story lines, and it's wonderfully economic. And even though it's kind of economic, you still get a full picture of the characters. She's a great writer. And also what this says to me is that this has had a really good editing process, and I don't think we see enough of that. There is nothing superfluous in this book at all, and it is original, and it is, well, it may not be original because I think we've all heard stories about people going through bouts of mental health, and maybe, you know, things aren't as real as they perceive them to be. But there is something fresh and original about the way she writes and her viewpoint. And I also thought the relationship between her and her brother was really lovely as well. This is a great book, and I'm really looking forward to reading more of Emily Austen's books. I'm going to go back. So that is Everyone in This Room Will Someday Be Dead. Now, given that I have had a bit of a reading slump, I would love some suggestions. Or what is the last best book that you have read? And let me know what it is. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.